Hear me okay? Okay, my name is Abraham Sion, and my ancestors were Chinese, but the only word I know is ni hao, that's it. So I am short, so I'm not going to stand behind here. So I'm going to be walking around, and I want this to be interactive. So as I get into the presentation, feel free to ask questions along the way. If I feel like we're getting too off track, then I will readjust so that we can all be at the same place. First off, I want to thank the Atlanta Chinese IT professionals, or the Associated Chinese Professionals with Bing and the board. Thank you for allowing me to be here, as well as the Atlanta Chinese IT Association and having me here. It's a great honor to be here to work with different organizations. Part of why I do what I do is so that I can do community service in this way here to really help businesses get into the government space. So I'm going to ask a question. Who has anybody that's currently in the government space or doing some government work or working for a company that's in the government space? Anybody? Raise a hand. Okay, so a few of you. So that means that for today's purpose, I'm going to cover at a high level because government contracting is so broad, there's so much details that it would take a 3-day seminar to cover everything. But for an hour and a half, I'm going to cover at the high level, and then if you want to find out more details, I have my business cards up here on the side over here. Feel free to pick it up and also reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to meet with you one-on-one so that we can go to the detailed levels of government contracting specifically for your company or for your organization. So we'll do that there. Now, I'm originally from Laos, as I mentioned. I want to tell you a little bit about myself so that you can understand. My story is very similar to some of you. You know, we immigrated to the U.S. During the Vietnam War. After the fall of Vietnam, the U.S. pulled out of Laos and of Vietnam. There was a secret war that was happening in Laos that most everybody paid attention to the Vietnam War, but Laos, there was a lot of fighting there. There's also fighting in Cambodia in the Southeast Asia area during that time. And when the Laotian government fell, my parents were uneducated, very poor farmers, but they had they just wanted something greater for us as kids. And so we fled and we became refugees because we didn't know how the government was going to shake out, whether we're going to be safe or not. During that time, our families, or the Hmong people and the Laotian people, the Hmong people lost about 300,000 people during the genocide right after the war. But we were fortunate. In '75, we left Laos. Leaving Laos is not getting on an airplane and flying out. Leaving Laos meant you carry what you could on your backs, and then you walk through the jungle, you eat, and you live off of trees, bushes, roots, animals in the jungle, maybe bugs. I love bugs. There's plenty of bugs trying to get out of Laos. But we finally got to the border of Laos and Thailand, which is a river, the Mekong River. We had to cross over. And so we couldn't just swim across. I was about 6 years old. My parents had 6 little kids. And so the newborn baby all the way through 12. And so we couldn't just get over to the other side. And so we walked up the river, and we found a family with a little raft. And we said, can you please take us over to the other side? And they were kind enough. We gave them what little money we had left over, and they took us to Thailand. And so we stayed in the refugee camps for about a year. I remember as a child growing up in the refugee camps, on good days you get 2 meals, on super great days you get 3 meals, and on challenging days you get 1 meal, 1 bowl of rice, and on bad days you get nothing. And we lived in that for about a year, and then finally a church in the U.S. sponsored us to come to the U.S. And coming to the U.S. was quite an adventure, as some of you have experienced or know for yourself personally. But the Hmong people is a very primitive people. And so we were about to land in Ohio, and we looked out the window, and we saw nothing but white sand. We thought, America is a land of white desert. We're going to die in America. We've never seen snow before. And we thought, why is it nothing green here? Why is it just all white snow? And so that's kind of our adventure to come to America. But I appreciate the opportunities we have in this country. Just like all of us, this is truly a great place where you can have a dream or a passion about something, and you can pursue your careers. You can pursue your dreams of being a business owner, being a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad. Anything is possible in this country. So from a very young age, I've been an entrepreneur. Started my first business when I was about 19, 20 years old. It was a little baseball card comic book store, and had a lot of fun doing that. Then I did that for about 3 years. I decided that I want to go back to Thailand and Laos and do social work for the rest of my life. So I went there, spent a year in Thailand, but couldn't get back into Laos because the government wouldn't let me back in. And so they asked me, why do you want to come back to Laos? I thought, this is my home. This is my country. I love my country. I love my people. And I couldn't get a visa to go visit, not much less to stay there. So about a year later, I came back to the U.S. I went to work for corporate America. For some of you, you're in corporate America. Corporate America is awesome for many, many people. But some people suffocate in corporate America. And I felt that corporate America wasn't the right place for me. And so sometimes, if you have a calling, right, there's that voice inside of you. It's calling you to do something different. And so the entrepreneurship voice was calling me. And so I decided, okay, I have $300 to my name, that's it. I thought, I'm going to go and build a company. So I took $300, I went and started an office furniture company. This is in the early 90s. And took $300 and went and turned that into $1,000, $10,000. And I amassed, after 5 years, I amassed $10 million worth of furniture. And then I decided I'm going to sell that business, and I got into real estate. Well, in real estate, had a lot of fun. We were doing land development, building communities in the Atlanta area. And in 2007, what happened? The bubble bursted, right? The real estate market crashed. And so that's when I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Because I can reinvent myself in real estate or move on to something else. And that's kind of how I got into government contracting. I met a gentleman who retired from the government. He was a contracting officer. He's awarded $5 billion in government contracts. And during that time, he said, Abe, you understand business. Why don't we combine his government knowledge and the business knowledge, and let's help companies in the government space. So that's how I got to the government market, started a consulting company, helping businesses, but we charge a lot of money in consulting. Because some of you are consultants or IT professionals, and the hourly rate or the consulting fees are so high that small businesses cannot afford those services. So I thought, I want to do something that small businesses can really have access to, because the government market, there's a lot of disparities. I'm going to talk about those disparities. I'm going to talk about the challenges that the government is having in accessing qualified small business owners. And so I thought, let me leave consulting and let me start the Government Contractors Association so that I can train businesses, work with them, and do it in a way that people can afford and have the time to break into the government space. So that's a little bit about myself. I'm going to jump into the presentation. Now, the association was founded in 2010, and our main mission is just really to help businesses in the government space. I'm not going to talk about this for time's sake, but and when I say government, I mean federal government, state government, local government, county government, city government, procurement in terms of hospital systems, any organizations that uses a procurement system. All of that is considered tied to some type of government entity. So I cover all of that. For the purpose of today's conversation, I'm going to highlight the federal government market. And so that's what I'll be talking from. So the opportunity in the government is enormous. And the government is the largest customer in the world. They buy everything you can imagine, and they're open for any business. Now, let's talk through that there. The budget is $3.5 trillion, typically a little bit higher than that. Last year, because of the deficit and because of budget cuts, it went from 3.8 down to 3.5. Now, the GDP of China is $4.7 trillion. what we spend as a government is almost the GDP of China. So that gives you a little perspective. The government's checks never bounce. They pay you on time, and they will never, unlike the commercial market, they will always pay you. Now, there may be, depending on paperwork, there may be some time frame, but they will always pay you. And even with budget cuts, furloughs, and sequestration, if you look at this here, there's some cuts, and the budget is being cut about 8 to 10%, but there's still a lot of money there when you talk about the total number. So you'll see that the trend is going to continue to go up in terms of federal spending as well as state and local spending. Let's look at the numbers here. Last year, 2013, the government awarded $461 billion to the commercial businesses out there. Now, $461 billion, that's 9 zeros, right? That's a lot of zeros. And that may just be a number, but let me give you a scale. This is larger than the GDP of South Korea. South Korea's GDP is about almost $300 million. So this is what the government spend alone is bigger than that GDP. Let me give you another perspective. The country of Laos, where I'm from, the GDP of Laos is $6 billion. And so you're talking about an enormous amount of money that's available out there. Every single day, $1.3 billion is being awarded to somebody, to companies out there. In the 2 hours or so that you're here, $100 million is being awarded to somebody. Somebody's receiving money from the government to do work for them. And the number of contracts that was awarded last year was 2.4 million contracts that was awarded to businesses out there. And this is not including all the little task orders. This is just the sizable contracts out there. And the average government contract is $185,000. So lots of money there. And there's only 600,000 companies that are registered to do work for the government. And 600,000, I'm talking about the whole world combined together, including American-owned businesses. There's only 600,000. Now in the U.S., there's about 31 million businesses in the U.S. This represents less than 2% of businesses in the U.S. registered to do work for the government. So there's a lot of opportunities and very few companies trying to pursue government opportunities. Now, since this is IT, I did a little number crunching for the IT industries. And in terms of information technology, software development, cybersecurity, staffing, IT staffing, systems management, $32 billion was awarded in IT. So there's a lot of opportunities there. There was 107 contracts that was awarded in the IT industry, and the average IT contract is about $300,000. So, and this is an example of a contract. This is one of the larger one here. For this contract, HP won a $132 million contract. And then this one here, Computer Science Corporation won $131 million. And there's some smaller ones also. This next slide here, I highlight some of the smaller projects. Computer Science Corporation, $14 million, and VIPS, $14.8 million. And there's some $500,000 contract, there's $1 million contract, there's $10,000 contract, there's all types of different sizes depending on how much responsibility you want to take on. I also did, just kind of, so you can kind of see a broad spectrum, I did the construction industry, so you kind of see the construction. Construction is $28 billion, 137 contract was awarded, and 204 was the average construction project. And these are some examples. The largest construction project was $344 million. Now in Georgia, there's some great opportunities in Georgia. Anybody heard of Fort Gordon? Fort Gordon is in Augusta, Georgia. And Cyber Command they just made the announcement that they're going to bring Cyber Command, which is the organization that manages the IT security for the DoD and the Air Force and the Army and so forth. Well, they're making that headquartered in Augusta, Georgia. That's going to bring about 4,000 jobs over there. And so if you are in IT staffing, there's going to be a lot of opportunities over there. There's going to be about $200 million worth of construction that's going to happen over there. And because it's cybersecurity, there's going to be millions and millions of dollars tied to IT to build up that infrastructure, which is only an hour and a half, 2 hours from our city of Atlanta. So Metro Atlanta, even though we're not DC, there's a lot of construction, a lot of IT, a lot of manufacturing, and there's a lot of opportunities still, even if you're not in some of these areas. The government buys everything, so there's opportunities there. But the way you win contract is to use your disadvantage. Because as a minority in this country, you have a disadvantage because your English is not perfect. The way you go into someone because you're Asian, they may not engage you right at the beginning because they might think that there's a barrier, there's cultural barrier, there's language barrier. And so this is a disadvantage in commercial businesses. It's also a disadvantage in the government space. And the government understands that. And so what they did was they created different types of set-asides, only for small businesses and some programs only for minority-owned businesses. I call this here the goal of 23. So of the $461 billion, the government says that they want 23% of that to go to small businesses. Now, IT, if you have an IT company, if you make less than $25 million in revenue, they consider you a small company. So if you make more than that, then they consider you a large company. And so if you're IT, definitely 23% of government spending they want to award to you as a small business. Now, the goal of 35 means this here. When a large company like IBM or Booz Allen or Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin or SAIC, any of these large companies, when they win a government contract, the government says that they must subcontract 35% to small businesses. So even though you may not be the most qualified to go to the government, you should still get registered to do government work. And the reason for that is because large companies must subcontract 35% to small businesses. So let's look at this graph here. So the $461 billion, 77% is what they call open competition. Open competition means that you can be a large company, a small company, a women-owned, minority-owned, doesn't matter. Everyone can compete in the open market. Usually, the large companies do very well in the open market because they have better resources. They have a team of proposal writers. They have somebody who's building relationship and getting to know the government buyers. And so that's the open market. But the set-aside is 23%, which is about $106 billion. So there's still a lot of opportunities there. But the way you do this here is, as a small business, you can go directly to the government as a prime contractor, directly to the government to go after that. But there's more red tape and there's more registration, more regulations you have to follow. Or the other way is to go to the large company, because when a large company wins an IT contract over $650,000, the regulation says that they must subcontract 35% to small businesses. So this is your opportunity to go directly to these companies and then go to the government in that way. Excuse me. So let's talk about the different types of certifications out there. There's the HubZone certification. HubZone stands for Historically Underutilized Business Zone. So if you are a small business and you put your business in Metro downtown Atlanta, that's considered a hub zone. If you put your office in Decatur, that's a hub zone. If you put your office in downtown Marietta, that's a hub zone. On Buford Highway, most of Buford Highway is considered a hub zone. A hub zone is any area of town where the residents have low income. It can be very commercialized, but if the residents have low income, they consider that a hub zone. So, unfortunately, Johns Creek is not a hub zone, for those of you that live in Johns Creek. But that's 3%. Now, 3% may not seem like a lot of money, right? But 3% of $461 billion. So that is a lot. That's about almost $15 $14 billion. And then service disabled veteran-owned small business. So if you are a veteran and you can get into the service disabled veteran-owned small business program, that's 3%. If you are 8A, 8A is the minorities program. We consider it as a minorities program. It is a program what they call socially and economically disadvantaged. So if you are Chinese American, you qualify into the 8A program. If you are Hispanic American, you qualify. If you're African American, you qualify. And so the qualification is minorities qualify very easily into the 8A program. And this is the most powerful program. The 8A program allows you to go in there and win an enormous amount of contracts. As an 8A company, you can win what we call sole source contracts. Sole source contract means that if you have a relationship with the CDC, if you're in IT, the CDC is the largest in the Metro Atlanta. They spend the most money in IT. So if you want to go and do work for the CDC, you get your 8A and you get to know them and they like you and they trust you. They will do a direct award from the CDC to your company if it's $4 million or less. A direct award or a sole source contract means it does not go through competition. They do not have to put it out for bids. They do not have to go through the procurement solicitation process. And they can just do, they like you, they can just do what they call a justification of acquisition, and then it will come directly to your company, and you just start doing work. So that's very powerful using the 8A program, because it allows you to get direct award, and as a small business, you can eliminate a lot of the buying cycle using a program like that. For all the ladies in the room, there's also the WOSB program, or the Women-Owned Small Business program. For the men, if you're married and your wife works with you in your company, guess what? She already owes 50% of your company, right? Common law marriage says if you're married, she owes 50% of your company. So you might as well give her 51% so that you can be a women-owned company. So you just need to do a transfer of shares so that she owns 51%. Now you're a 8A company and you're also a minority-owned company. Now the more certification you can get, the better. Who here has more than one IT certification? Or can write in more than one programming language? Right? The more you know, the more doors it opens. The same thing with the government. The more certifications you can get, the more doors they will open for you as a business owner. There's also additional federal certifications out there. This is the VOSB. For some of you who's taking notes, I forgot to mention this earlier. I will make the PowerPoint presentation available. Just shoot me an email. I'm also going to send it to June so that you can get it from him as well, and he can send it out to all the attendees that came out today. So at the federal level, there's a VOSB, there's a Section 3 program. If you want to do business with HUD, Housing and Urban Development, you want to get the Section 3 certification. There's also mentor-protege programs out there. In a mentor-protege relationship, the large company is the mentor, and the small company is the protege. So in that type of relationship, you want to set up that kind of relationship because now the large company will start doing subcontracting work with your organization. And because they're required to subcontract work, about 35% to small business, they'd rather work with one company and groom them, teach them how their large company do work. So mentor-protege relationship at the federal level is very important. There's also a state mentor-protege program as well, so you can look into that. I have all the information on that at the detail level. And there's also an HBCU initiative. I won't go into that. At the state level, there's the DBE program. DBE stands for Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And very similar to the 8A program, this here is mandated by the federal government that the state must have the DBE program. Under the DBE program, there's also the MBE, or Minority Business Enterprise, and the WBE, which is the Women Business Enterprise. And so these are great certifications if you want to do work for the state of Georgia. And then there's other types of certifications. There's state mentor protege initiatives as well. At the city level, this is the city of Atlanta here. There's the FBE, Female Business Enterprise. There's the AABE, African American Business Enterprise, the Hispanic American Business Enterprise, and we fall under this one here. Anybody know what this stands for? Yes? Asian Pacific American Business Enterprise. So these here will open doors for you a lot easier if you want to do work for the city of Atlanta. If you want to do work for the airport, it will fall under these programs also. So the airport has a lot of work. If you want to do work for the new Falcon Stadium, there's a lot of IT work tied to, the Falcon Stadium is going to be one of the highest technology stadium out there. So there's going to be a lot of IT work there. And their goal with that is 35% of the work at the Falcon Stadium, they wanted to go to minority-owned businesses. There's also opportunities at the county level. This is LSBE. This is for DeKalb County, the local small business enterprise here. Fulton County has the FBE, which is the minority female business enterprise. Now, Cobb does not have an initiative. Gwinnett does not have an initiative. But the reason why they don't have an initiative is because we don't have enough representation in city and county government to say, hey, there is a disadvantage to minority-owned businesses at the county level. And so anybody who wants to get into politics, please talk to me so that we can create initiatives to help out at the county level as well. Yes?
So, certification programs, qualify for those, do you have to prepare a citizenship requirement to have citizen or?
Okay, good question. So the question is, what are some of the qualifications to get into these programs? The qualifications are very detailed, and so I won't go through all of the details, but I'll answer your question and talk through some of the high level. Most of the certifications require that you have to be a U.S. citizen. Not all of the certification requires that. The 8A program does require that you are a citizen. It also requires, in terms of you submitting 3 years of tax returns, requires that you have submit personal tax returns, corporate tax returns, you have financial statements for your company. Most of the other certifications, you can start your business today and get into the program tomorrow. The only one that has a year time frame, well, it's a 2-year program, is the 8A program. You have to be in business for 2 years before you can get into the 8A program. So there are some different guidelines for different certifications, depending on if you want to do local work, if you want to do federal work. I can kind of talk you through the requirements so that we can kind of get you ready for that there. Any other question?
Sounds like that is a separate step before you can get any.
The question is, do you need to get certification first before you can do government work? The answer is you do not need certifications. You can just get registered in sam.gov, sam.gov, and start looking for all, and then start to go look for work. To find contracting opportunities, sam.gov is the database that you as a vendor have to be registered in. If you want to find opportunities, the website for that is FBO, Frank Boyd Opportunity, FBO.gov. If you go to FBO.gov, I would say 80% of contracting opportunities is listed at the federal level on that database. So you can see what's available right now. For some of you who have tablets or smartphone, go to FBO.gov and just put in their computer or information technology or whatever industry you're in, and you'll see that there's going to be about 15,000 or 7,000 different IT projects at any given time. So there's never a shortage of opportunities in the government space. So $32 billion, they're putting out money every single day. So certifications, the reason why you want to use certifications is it opens up the doors for you easier. So you want to go through this lengthy process of getting certified because it's kind of like, do you need a college degree to be an IT, no, you don't need a college degree. But if you have one, it allows employers to hire you easier. So it's the same thing as a degree, a certification, think of it as a degree. And if you have one, they look more favorable to you to get you into the government space. Any other questions, Don?
So that those kind of is the basic identity requirement for type of your business, but that has to be a LLC, but that has to be the company type.
There's no restrictions in terms of what type of companies you are. You can be a sole proprietor, but I don't recommend being a sole proprietor because how will the government entrust you with millions of dollars? So it's better to incorporate your company. You can have an LLC, you can have an S Corp, you can have a C Corp, you can have any type of formation. You can even be a nonprofit and get some government contracts. Although nonprofit normally goes after grants. Now, for the purpose of today, I didn't even talk about grants because grants is another $550 billion. So that's a whole new world, different way of doing procurement in the grants world. But in the government space, that's about 461. So you got two big arms. But your type of entity does not matter in the government space. Any other questions? Since I'm taking some questions right now. Okay, so let's keep going. Oh, sure, that's fine.
You tried putting out the website.
Oh, yes, that'd be great. Yeah, fbo.gov. Yeah, exactly. Now it's up, let me come and drive it. And so this is the main site here. So I can just come here and I can click on advanced search. And I can come in here and let me just say, okay, Georgia, because since we're in Georgia. And then I want to move down here. And the government buys contracting in terms of NAICS codes, or they buy it by industry numbers. So I'm going to come down to the industry numbers here. And this is the NAICS code here. I'm going to shift down to the IT NAICS code, which is 541, 511, and 512, and 513. So I'm going to click on this here. So these are all IT related NAICS codes here. And then I'm going to hit search. So in Georgia, right now, there's about 62 IT related projects in the state of Georgia right now. And let's look at, I'm just going to choose one here. Let's see here, PWCAM software. Just kind of look at an example here. And so it came out a few days ago, about 10 days ago, September 9th. And you can come and see that these are a little bit of the description. And if you want to go through, you look for this here. You see this here, where it says sole source. This means that they want to aid a company to win this project. So this is a good example why you want the 8A certification. So if a large company cannot go after this project. So if IBM wants to go after this project, they cannot do it. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom, you will see, oh, okay, my screen's out here, but. That's on, but this is not on. Oh. Okay, all right. Thank you. IT is very important. I'm testimonial that IT is important for our daily lives. So I can go and look at the description. So I'm going to pull this up here. And it will open up the description. And then I can read through the details of it to see if I'm interested, or in your situation, to see if you're interested in this project here. So this is the contractor. Now let's read this. So the contractor should provide telephone and online technical support and software updates to 569 EMXS, some kind of tape, in Robbins Air Force Base in Warner Robins, Georgia, for 2 seats of the DesignCam 350 computer-aided manufacturing software used to generate Gerber data for laser photo plotter and produces the artwork film and also generate the CNC files for the drilling and milling machines. So this is a very detailed, specific type of software that they want. And you'll see that there are some that you say, okay, this is not my area of expertise, and just move on to one that you're interested in. But some of you may have a level of expertise with this here, so. And then you can kind of read through what they're looking for, the requirements, and then respond if you're interested in this project here. Yes, question?
Is there any security requirement, say clearance? Security.
Oh, so security clearance?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. So in terms of security clearance, typically there's multiple types of security clearance that you want to be aware of. There is facility clearance, meaning that for you and your company and your employees to go into a facility, your company itself needs to have the facility clearance. And so that there's only 2 ways to get facility clearance. The agency that you're doing work for have to sponsor your company, or a larger company like IBM or Booz Allen or SAIC have to sponsor you to do subcontracting work for them. And then once you get security clearance for your company or facility clearance for your company, then you can keep it forever. You still have to renew it, maintain it, but you can keep it for as long as you need to renew it. Now, the outside of facility clearance, there's what they call top secret, which is individual security clearance. And that you just have to get processed through the system. And it could take about 6 months to get that type of security clearance. Once you have your top secret clearance, if you are an individual who gets your clearance, your salary will go up by about $20,000 to $40,000 just by having that security clearance. So it's a very important security clearance just to get that there. So if you're a professional and you're looking for a better pay grade, upgrade without having to do any more hard work, then get your security clearance. So this gives you an idea of the project here. And there is another database. Since I'm on the computer, I'm going to show you this other database. And this is it's outreachsystems.com/iSearch. This database it's an aggregation of a lot of different resources. So in this database, you get federal contracting opportunities, you get state, you can find state projects, you can also find local projects in this one database. So I'm going to show you quickly here. And it's a free database, so you can come and just sign up. I'm going to log in and show you quickly. So in this database, since I'm here, I can come in here and I can do it by NAICS codes, or I can just do it by keyword. And I'm just going to put in by keyword, I'm going to just type in computer and search. And let me do it from, in terms of the date here, 08/01/14. So I'm going to do about a month worth of information here. Oh, I forgot the 2. They're saying there's too many projects, over 2,500 projects, so I'll have to narrow it down a little bit. So let me narrow down to just the beginning of this month here. Okay, so there's 1,078 projects with the word computer in there. So now you can kind of go through, okay, which one am I interested in? For this one, I just did an open. So it's all over the place. It could be California, it could be Texas, it could be Georgia. But I didn't narrow it down just so you can kind of get an idea of at any given time what kind of opportunities are out there. So let's see if there's anything worthwhile here to look at. Anything you guys want to look at? Technical services here. So once you're here, because this is an aggregation tool, you'll want to go to this site here, and then you can kind of go and look at the details of this project. So now you can come into this database in terms of what they're asking for, the details there. And you can kind of go through as many as you want to in terms of trying to find a right project for you. There's so many here that we won't even have time to. I just want to give you a quick sample of how to find opportunities. And so this is one way to do it. These two databases will actually give you a good start in terms of finding the type of opportunities out there. So in terms of the hub zone companies out there, there's about 6,000. So not many at all. 8A companies, there's only 7,280 companies out there. So very few when you're talking about the millions and millions of business owners out there who are minorities. And there's only 7,000. Service disabled vet, 14,000. Women-owned, 54,000, and so forth. In the whole government space, there's only 123,000 companies with some type of certifications. All the other companies have no type of certifications. So very few. And of the companies, of the 600,000 companies, 181,000 companies are actively winning government contracts. So when you talk about this, if this is less than half of 1% of American companies winning government contracts. 31 million businesses, 600,000, 2% are registered, 181, that's half of 1%. But the good news is that of those that registered, 31% are actually winning contracts. So if you register, you have a 33% chance or 31% chance of winning. So if you're successful in the commercial market, you should consider the government space because there's more larger projects and more opportunities there, just a little bit more work. But this is why I do what I do here, because I understand the disparities. In the US, 99.7% of American companies are considered small. If you're in construction, 33 million or less is small. If you're roofing, about 14 million or less. If you're a consultant, 7 million or less is considered a small company. If you're in IT, 25 million or less is considered small. So most companies are small in the US. 73 million of the dollars went to small companies. So that's only 16%. So small companies are getting a small piece of the pie. But just because you're small doesn't mean you should get a small piece of the pie, right? It should be 99% because small business represent the bulk of American companies. Women represents 41% of American companies. All the ladies in the room, there's 54,000 and 19.8 million went to small women-owned businesses. 4.3%, and the goal was 5%, and they did not meet the goal. In fact, since I've been doing government contracting for the last 8 years, I have never seen a year where they met the women goal, the veteran goal, the 8A goal. They historically have not met this year This year, they said that they met the serve disabled vet, but I dispute that because their numbers doesn't add up to me. So, but that's what they're saying. So minority-owned businesses, $22.5 billion was awarded to minority-owned businesses, which is 4.8%, which is a really small piece of the pie. So I have some friends who are not minorities, and they say, Abe, these programs here are unfair because I'm not a minority, I can't get into the 8A program. That's what they're saying to me. But I show them this here so they can kind of see the real economic injustice that's really happening. Because to me, this is economic injustice. There's social injustice and there's economic injustice. And what I do is I help in the realm of economic justice to create greater parity. But this gives us an idea. So you got Lockheed Martin right in our backyard, right there in Marietta, and all the 8A's companies. We're going to compare the two. Lockheed won $44.1 billion. All the 8A companies won $22.5 billion. One company versus 7,200 companies. What do you think about that picture there? Something's wrong with this picture, right? How can all the 8A companies in the U.S. only do half of what Lockheed is doing? That means that there's tremendous disadvantages for small businesses, as minority-owned, women-owned business in the government space. And so I work tirelessly to help change some of this here. Now, I'm not upset at Lockheed Martin. I'm upset at the small businesses for not doing this here. Don't get upset at Lockheed Martin because they know what they're doing. It's you and I who should be upset at ourselves because we're not competing for these opportunities. 9.6, 4.8%. So what do you have to do? So I spent about 4 years working on creating a system, creating a formula, and breaking down government contracting to the ABCs. And so instead of the ABCs, I call it the 5 Ps. So after today, you have a good idea of the steps that you have to take to get into the government space. And so I broke it down to a formula. I call it the 5 Ps. P plus P plus P plus P equals P. That's it. Government contracting is easy now, right? Just 5 Ps. So the first P is preparation. That means during preparation, you have to do some work, some planning, some strategies. We'll talk a little more details. The second P is promotion. Promotion is business development, marketing, strategizing in that regards. And then proposal, writing. Oh, who loves to write in here? Anybody love to write? Oh, no hand went up. Wow. So this is one of the challenging parts for small businesses because you have to learn how to write, or you have to bring on an employee or someone who knows how to write proposals. So this is a major obstacle. These other two are a little easier, but this is tough. And then the fourth P is performance. So if you prepare, you promote your company, you write proposal, you're going to win, and now you have to deliver. Performance is delivering your product or your service. And then if you do that, any guess what the last P is? Profit, right? You do these things here so you can get to profit. Now, it's not about winning a contract. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, your goal is to be profitable, not to win a contract. Because I have met companies that have won a contract, but they're losing money on it because their bid was too low. And so they realize that they can't cover their costs, and if they abandon this project, then they will get negative remarks from the government and they can't win any more contracts. So that's part of learning how to do it appropriately. A lot of businesses go to the government and they try to be the lowest bidder. And the good thing about the federal government is that they don't go with the lowest bidder. Now at the state level and at the county level, usually it's the lowest bidder. But the federal level is usually the best value. Now let me tell you what best value means. You may be a large company and your price may be double the amount of a small company, but if you can show that you're the best value, you will win the project over a small company. Or you can be a small company, but if you know how to package your proposal and how to make yourself look strong to the government, your pricing may be higher than another small company, but the government will award it to you because you look stronger. So best value is very important to understand. Don't always just try to be the lowest price. You want to be the best value. Best value